Frost crawls across her skin like a living thing. Kira's lungs burn as she crashes through frozen undergrowth. The ceremonial gown, white silk. Her mother's pearls hangs from her body in bloodied ribbons. Thorns have claimed most of it. The mountain is claiming the rest. Behind her, torchlight bleeds through the trees. Hunters, her father's men, the council's hounds, coming to drag her back to an altar where she'll kneel, be marked, and disappear. 3 days running, no food, no fire, just the echo of drums and her father's voice. The Alpha King has chosen you. She stumbles into the forbidden cave and presses against stone. Her hands shake, then light erupts from her palms. Ice explodes outward, growing, spiraling, coating everything in deadly white. Kira stares at her hands in horror. She's never done that before. The hunters' voices grow louder. Panic drives her deeper. Into tunnels the elders say swallow men whole. Her power pulses with every heartbeat uncontrolled, terrifying, growing stronger. Then she hears it. Every survival instinct screams at her to keep running. To save herself. To let whatever creature bleeds in the dark simply bleed. But Kira has spent 19 years watching her father sacrifice everything soft for survival. 19 years learning that kindness is weakness and mercy is a grave. She is so tired of being afraid. She moves toward the sound. The wolf is massive, larger than any she's seen in Frostvale. Silver-white fur matted with blood, one leg crushed beneath a fallen pillar of stone. An iron trap, rusted but brutal, has bitten through the other. Its eyes find her in the darkness, golden. Not amber, not yellow. Gold, bright as molten metal, watching her with an intelligence that makes her skin prickle. This is no ordinary wolf. Kira should run. She knows she should run. The hunters are minutes behind her, and this creature, wounded or not, could tear out her throat before she drew another breath. Instead, she drops to her knees and begins to dig. The stone is heavy. Her fingers split and bleed. The wolf watches her with those terrible golden eyes, but doesn't snap, doesn't snarl. When she finally heaves the pillar aside, it lets out a sound almost like relief. The trap is harder, iron teeth buried deep in muscle and bone. Kira's frost power flickers at the edges of her vision, and she thinks wildly, desperately freeze it, make it brittle. She doesn't know how. But she wants it. Ice crackles along the trap's surface. The metal groans, turns white with frost, and shatters. The wolf is free. Kira collapses beside it, exhausted beyond words, her ruined gown a bloodied shroud, her power still flickering like a dying flame. The cave is silent now. The hunters haven't followed her this deep. No one follows anyone into the Frostfang Peaks. Not if they want to live. She should stay awake, should keep moving, but her body has reached its limit, and the wolf beside her radiates warmth despite its wounds. And for the first time in 3 days, Kira feels something other than terror. She feels safe. Her eyes close. When she wakes, the cave is different. Firelight dances across the walls, a fire she didn't build. The wolf is gone. And a man stands at the cave entrance, silhouetted against the gray mountain dawn. Tall, broad-shouldered, black hair tied back from a face carved from shadow and ice. A scar runs from his left temple to his cheekbone, pale against tan skin. He wears black leather armor stamped with a crest she's never seen a wolf crowned with thorns. But it's his eyes that stop her breath. Gold. The same impossible, molten gold as the wolf. He steps into the firelight, and Kira scrambles backward, ice crackling unbidden across the stone beneath her palms. Her heart slams against her ribs. She knows who this is. She knows it in her bones. The Alpha King, Daemon Thornridge. The man they were dragging her to marry. The monster the council promised her to. The fate she chose, death to escape. He found her anyway, but he doesn't reach for her throat. He doesn't summon the hunters waiting below. He doesn't speak a single word of ownership or claim. Instead, he kneels, one knee pressed to the frozen stone, head bowed, those golden eyes lifted to meet hers, with something she doesn't understand, something that looks almost like reverence. "You saved him," he says quietly. His voice is low, rough, edged with exhaustion. 3 days I've been tracking him. 3 days certain I'd find his corpse. And instead I find you. Kira's voice is a rasp. The wolf, Fenrir, my bonded companion, his jaw tightens. The council set that trap. They wanted to draw me out, make me vulnerable. A pause. They didn't expect a half-frozen girl in a ruined wedding gown to find him first. She doesn't understand. None of this makes sense. He should be dragging her back to Frostvale in chains. He should be claiming what the council promised him. "You're the Alpha King," she whispers. "I'm supposed to be your marked bride." Yes. His golden eyes darken. The council's gift, a Frostborn woman delivered in chains, her power drained to fuel their control, her will bound to me through blood and ceremony. He rises slowly, and even standing, he doesn't loom over her, doesn't crowd her, gives her space. Do you know what they call that ritual? The marking ceremony. The rite of the Alpha. Her voice shakes. The highest honor a woman can. Enslavement. The word cuts through the cave like a blade. 300 years ago, they corrupted an ancient rite, twisted a bond of equals into chains of control. Every bride since has been a prisoner. Every marking has been theft. His hands curl into fists at his sides. I've refused 5 women in 5 years because I will not take a slave. Kira stares at him. The council told her he was a monster. A beast wearing a man's shape. Something to be feared, obeyed, survived. But monsters don't kneel for runaway brides. Monsters don't speak of slavery with disgust in their voices. Monsters don't look at her like she's, "You're Frostborn," he says softly. "The ice that answers your call. The cold that doesn't burn you, it's a bloodline power. One the council has been hunting to extinction for 3 centuries. His gaze drops to her scarred arms, the ones that glow when her magic rises. "Your mother had it. They killed her for it. Your father has been hiding you not to protect you, but to auction you to the highest bidder." The words land like physical blows. Her mother. Dead since childhood. Childbirth complications. Her father always said. Nothing could be done. Nothing. Nothing could be done. Nothing could be done. A lie. Another lie. 300 years of lies. Before she can respond, torchlight floods the cave entrance. There she is. Cassius Ironwood's voice echoes off stone, smooth, venomous. A dozen hunters fan out behind him, crossbows raised. "Step away from the girl, Your Majesty." The council's claim supersedes. Daemon moves like lightning. His fist connects with the first hunter's jaw. The second goes down with a knee to the gut. But more are coming. Too many. And Cassius is raising his crossbow toward Kira's heart. No. The word tears through her mind like a blizzard. Ice explodes from her palms. It races across the cave floor, up the walls, sealing the entrance in a crystalline barrier 3 feet thick. Hunters freeze mid-stride, trapped to the waist in frost. Cassius's crossbow shatters in his hands. Silence falls. Kira stares at the destruction, trembling. She did this. Her power uncontrolled, terrifying. Hers. Daemon's voice rings through the frozen chaos. "By the blood of the Thornridge dynasty, I claim this woman under my protection. Any who challenge this claim, challenge me." Through the ice, Cassius's eyes burn with hatred. "This isn't over, Your Majesty." "No," Daemon agrees quietly. "It isn't." The hunters retreat into the mountain darkness. The cave falls still. Kira's legs give out. She hits the ground hard, frost still crackling across her scarred palms. I can't control." Daemon crouches before her, not threatening, not looming, waiting. There are deeper caves, he says. Sanctuaries from the old world. I can teach you what you are. Show you what the council has hidden. His golden eyes hold hers, or I can give you a head start and swear no hunter of mine will follow. She should run. Every instinct screams it, but she is so tired of running. You have two choices. His voice drops to a murmur. Run deeper into the dark alone, or let me show you what you're truly capable of. The firelight casts long shadows across the deeper caves as Daemon spreads ancient scrolls across the stone floor. Kira sits across from him, hands still trembling from the ice that nearly killed them both hours ago. Fenrir lies between them, massive head resting on silver paws, golden eyes tracking every movement. Your bloodline wasn't always hunted, Daemon begins, his voice low and steady. 300 years ago, the glacial bloodline was revered, the most powerful lineage in the realm. Frostborn queens ruled alongside alpha kings as equals. They controlled the winters, blessed the harvests, held back the endless ice from swallowing the North Whole. Kira's throat tightens. Then, what happened? The council happened. His jaw clenches. A faction rose that believed power should be controlled, not shared. They corrupted the marking ceremony, turned it from partnership into enslavement, and they systematically hunted every Frostborn woman they could find, killed them, erased their names from history. The words land like blows. Kira's fingers curl against the cold stone. Your mother was one of the last. Daemon's golden eyes meet hers, unflinching. Alara Frostborn. She tried to hide, tried to live quietly in Frostvale, but when you were born and the power manifested in you as well, he pauses. The council found her. They made it look like childbirth complications. No. The word breaks from Kira's lips. Her breath comes faster. My father said he told me she was weak, that he knew. Daemon's voice is granite. Aldrich knew exactly what she was. What you are. He kept you hidden, yes. But not to protect you, Kira. To auction your power to whoever offered him the best price. Rage floods through her veins like liquid fire. Frost explodes from her palms, racing across the floor in jagged spikes. The temperature plummets. Her vision blurs white. Control it. Daemon commands, rising to his feet. Not harsh. Steady. Don't let it control you. Feel the cold. Don't fear it. Call it. She gasps, forcing herself to breathe. The ice slows, crystallizes into patterns instead of chaos. Her hands still glow with that terrible blue-white light, but it's deliberate now. Intentional. Good, Daemon says quietly. Again, for hours, they train. He teaches her to summon frost on command, to shape it, to pull it back before it kills. Every failure brings more control. Every success makes her stronger. When exhaustion finally forces them to rest, Daemon leads her deeper still, through passages carved by ancient hands, downstairs worn smooth by centuries. They emerge into a chamber that steals her breath. A massive stone basin sits at the center, covered in runes that seem to shift in the torchlight. The air hums with old magic. This is where the original rite was performed, Daemon says. Before the corruption, before the chains. He hesitates, something vulnerable crossing his face. I've refused 5 brides in 5 years. Women the council forced into that hall, terrified, trembling. I won't bind someone who doesn't choose it. I won't become what they are. Kira stares at him, at this man who could command armies but kneels before dying wolves, who could take what he wants but offers choices instead. I've been searching, he continues, for proof of what they've done, for someone strong enough to stand beside me and fight back. His golden eyes burn into hers. I think I've found both. The words hang between them like a promise. Then Fenrir's growl shatters the silence. The wolf is on his feet, teeth bared toward the passage. Daemon's hand drops to his blade. Torchlight flickers in the tunnel. Footsteps echo. Voices. Hunters pour into the chamber, weapons drawn. At their center, Wrapped in fine furs and cold authority, stands Lord Aldrich Winter. Kira's father looks at her with the same empty eyes he's always had. Like she's currency. Like she's nothing. Kira, he says calmly. Enough of this foolishness. You're coming home. I have no home with you. Her voice is ice itself. Aldrich produces a scroll, unfurls it with deliberate care. This document, signed and sealed when you were 14 years old, transfers all rights to your person and power to the High Council. You were sold, child. Legally, completely. He smiles without warmth. You've always belonged to them. Rage detonates through Kira's chest. Frost erupts from every inch of her skin, coating the chamber in deadly ice. The temperature drops so fast the hunters cry out, stumbling back. Spikes of ice race toward her father's throat. Kira! Daemon's hand closes around her wrist. Not restraining, anchoring. If you kill him now, you become what they say you are. A monster. His voice drops to a whisper. Prove them wrong. She's shaking. The ice hovers inches from Aldrich's skin. He's gone pale. Finally afraid, Kira forces her hand to open. The ice falls away. Run, she tells her father, and pray I never see you again. Aldrich and his hunters flee as the cave begins to freeze in earnest, ice crawling up the walls like living vines. When the last torch disappears up the passage, Kira collapses to her knees. She stares at her hands. Frost-covered. Deadly. Hers. I don't want to hide anymore, she whispers. Her voice strengthens. I want to burn them down. Daemon kneels beside her. Then let's show them what winter really means. The sanctuary goes deeper than either of them imagined. Kira follows Daemon through passages that haven't felt footsteps in centuries. Dust thick as snow. Runes carved into walls that pulse faintly as they pass. The air grows warmer the further they descend, heavy with secrets and the smell of ancient stone. Then they find the library. Massive doors of black iron stand sealed before them, covered in symbols that make Kira's scars ache. Beyond the gap between door and frame, she glimpses shelves stretching into darkness. Scrolls. Books. Proof. Daemon presses his palm to the iron. Nothing happens. Bonded pair ward, he murmurs. The old protection. Only two people bound through the original rite can pass. He pulls back, jaw tight. The council knew what they were doing when they corrupted the ceremony. They didn't just enslave women, they locked away everything that proved the truth. Kira stares at the doors. So we need to bond. To get inside. Yes. The word hangs between them. But it wouldn't be. She stops. Starts again. It wouldn't be pretend. Would it? No. Daemon turns to face her, and for the first time, she sees something vulnerable in those golden eyes. Awareness of each other's emotions, always. It can't be faked or broken. His voice drops. Every woman the council has sent me has been a prisoner in silk, terrified, forced. I swore I would never bind someone who didn't choose it freely. Kira's chest tightens. And if I choose it, then it has to be real. For you. He holds her gaze. Not strategy. Not survival. Choice. She looks at her hands, the scars that glow, the frost that answers her fear. What if my power destroys you too? What if I'm the curse they say I am? Her voice cracks. Everyone who's ever been close to me has suffered for it. My mother died. What if the bond just gives you another way to be hurt? Daemon is quiet for a long moment. Then, what if it doesn't? Before she can answer, Fenrir appears from the shadows, pressing against Daemon's leg with urgent whines. Daemon's expression hardens as he listens to something Kira can't hear. 50 hunters, he says flatly. Camped at the mountain's base. And the Shadowbound have arrived. His golden eyes darken. Isolde Ravencroft herself is coming. The name sends ice down Kira's spine. Even in Frostvale. They whispered about Isolde, the council's blade, the woman who'd orchestrated the corruption 3 centuries ago and kept it running with blood and silence ever since. How long? Kira asks. 2 days. Maybe less. 2 days. Not enough time to find another way. Not enough time to run. She looks at the sealed doors. At Daemon. At the wolf who watches her with 2 knowing eyes. I'm tired of hiding, she says quietly. I'm tired of being afraid of what I am. She steps closer to him, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from his skin. If we do this, it's not strategy. It's not survival. She meets his gaze. It's me choosing. For the first time in my life, something shifts in Daemon's expression. Something cracks open. Then we prepare tonight, he says. Learn the old words. Understand what we're promising. His hand rises, hesitates, then gently cups her face. And tomorrow? Kira covers his hand with her own. Frost meets warmth. Tomorrow we bind ourselves, she whispers. The day after, we go to war. The ritual chamber glows with candlelight as dawn breaks somewhere far above. Kira stands before the stone basin, dressed in white ceremonial robes that seem to shimmer with frost. Daemon faces her in black, the Thornridge crest stark against his chest. Between them, the ancient basin holds water so clear it looks like liquid glass. Neither speaks as they perform the purification rites. Ancient prayers in a language that feels both foreign and familiar on Kira's tongue. Her hands tremble as she raises them, palms up. Ready? Daemon's voice is quiet. She nods. Ready. They step forward together. The words come naturally now, practiced through the night until they became truth. Vows spoken in the old tongue. Promises of partnership, protection, choice freely given. Daemon draws a ceremonial blade across his palm. Blood wells dark against his skin. Kira does the same, her breath catching at the sting. They clasp hands over the basin. The moment their blood touches the water, power erupts. Ice and fire, frost and flame. Her magic crashes into his like opposing tides, swirling, combining, becoming something entirely new. The water in the basin turns to steam and ice simultaneously, spiraling upward in impossible patterns. Light blazes from their joined hands, so bright Kira has to close her eyes against it. When the light fades, marks bloom across their palms. On Kira's left hand, a frost flower with flame at its center. On Daemon's right, flame wrapped in frost, intertwined, equal, perfect. The sealed door across the chamber groans, ancient stone grinding against stone. It swings open, revealing darkness beyond. They enter the forbidden library together, still holding hands. Daemon's torch illuminates rows upon rows of scrolls, documents sealed for centuries. Kira pulls one free with shaking fingers, unfurls it carefully. Names. Hundreds of names. Women marked as dangerous, families listed as eliminated, bloodlines systematically erased. Documentation of 300 years of murder disguised as tradition. This one, Daemon says, voice tight. He holds up a scroll covered in official seals. The original ceremony. Before the corruption. His finger traces the ancient text. It was a celebration. 2 people choosing each other freely, sharing power as equals. Kira unfurls another. The power struggle. The council faction that changed everything. Her hands clench. They documented their own crimes. They were proud of it. They work through the night, cataloging evidence, building their case. Proof of everything the council has hidden. Everything they've destroyed. When Kira finally collapses from magical exhaustion, Daemon catches her before she hits the ground. He carries her back to their chamber, lays her gently on the furs, sits watching her sleep, one hand absently tracing the new mark on his palm. This was supposed to be strategy, political necessity. But somewhere between the ritual and the library, between the vows and the shared discovery, it became something more, something real. Kira wakes to find him still there, golden eyes soft in the firelight. We did it, she whispers. We did. He touches the mark on her palm with careful fingers. This bond, it's becoming real. Isn't it? She doesn't look away. It already is. Something worth fighting for? Everything worth fighting for. She sits up, strength returning. The scrolls lie stacked beside them, proof and promise combined. Her eyes meet his with new fire. Now we have proof. Now we have power. Now we take back everything they stole. Maps spread across stone as they plan their war. Daemon's finger traces routes through the mountains. We can't just march on our Gentum throne. They'll execute us for treason before we reach the gates. Then we don't march alone, Kira says. We gather allies first. Show them the proof. The journey to Winterborn Pack territory takes 3 days through brutal mountain passes. By the time they arrive, frost clings to their cloaks and their breath comes in white clouds. The Pack Alpha, a scarred woman named Thora Iceborn, meets them with cautious respect. Kira spreads the scrolls before her. This is what the council has hidden. This is what they've done to women like us. Thora reads in silence. When she looks up, her eyes are fierce. The Winterborn Pack stands with you. More allies come. Cedric Silveroak arrives at midnight, a defecting council elder with intelligence that changes everything. Isolde Ravencroft has declared you both traitors, he says grimly. Your father has authority to execute you on sight, Kira. He pauses. But the council is divided. Not everyone supports her. If you can prove your claims publicly, you might have a chance. Training intensifies. Kira learns to weaponize her ice walls that rise in seconds, spears that fly true, shields that deflect blades. Daemon fights beside her, their bond humming with shared awareness. She knows when he'll move before he does. He feels her power building before she releases it. Through strategy sessions and quiet evenings, through shared meals and sparring matches, something deepens between them. Not just the magical bond, but something chosen, something earned. Frostclaw clan arrives. Then Silvermane Alliance. Then Icewatch Pack. The sanctuary fills with warriors. With believers, with those who've suffered under the council's chains. They work through nights copying the scrolls, preparing documentation to distribute across the realm. When Garrick Stone defects from the hunters, bringing maps of the capital's defenses, Daemon clasps his shoulder. Welcome to the revolution. The morning they prepare to march, Kira stands before the gathered army in ice-blue gown and silver armor. Daemon beside her in black and gold, the Thornridge crest blazing. Behind them, hundreds of warriors ready to fight. They'll see us coming, someone warns. Kira's smile is sharp as winter wind. Good. Let them see us coming. Let them know winter has arrived. The great hall of Argentum throne was built to intimidate. Soaring ceilings carved from silver-veined stone, ancient banners hanging like judgments from above, tiered seating packed with witnesses from every territory in the realm. The throne itself, ice that never melts, created by a Frostborn queen centuries dead, gleams at the far end. Kira walks down the center aisle with Daemon at her side, their army at their backs. Every eye in the hall tracks their movement. Whispers ripple through the crowd like wind through winter wheat. Lady Isolde Ravencroft sits at the council's table, cold and immaculate in silver and black. Her voice cuts through the murmurs. Daemon Thornridge, Kira Winter, you stand accused of treason, heresy and corruption of sacred rites. She pauses. How do you answer? Guilty, Daemon says calmly, of refusing to let you destroy any more lives. The hall erupts. Isolde's gavel crashes down. You admit your crimes? We admit, Kira says, her voice carrying to every corner, that we've discovered yours. She nods to Cedric Silveroak, who steps forward with the ancient scrolls. They spread the documents across the council's table. Proof of the original ceremonies, lists of murdered women, evidence of 3 centuries of systematic destruction. Isolde barely glances at them. Forgeries, convenient fabrications to excuse rebellion, then let us prove their authenticity. An elderly woman rises from the crowd, the Dawnridge Pack elder, ancient and respected. She places weathered hands on the scrolls, magic flares, golden and pure. The documents glow with the same light. These texts are genuine, the elder announces. Written in the old tongue, sealed with blood magic that cannot be faked. She turns to the council. Everything they claim is true. Silence crashes through the hall like a wave. Order requires control, Isolde says, recovering quickly. The old ways were chaos. We brought stability. You built tyranny, Daemon counters. Order built on slavery is not peace. It's oppression with a prettier name. Kira steps forward. Her voice shakes but holds. How many of you know someone broken by the marking? Someone who faded away after their ceremony? Someone who forgot how to smile? The question hangs in the air. Then, slowly, hands begin to rise. 1, 5, dozens, hundreds of hands lifting into the silence, bearing witness to centuries of suffering. Bring forth Mira Ashlyn, Kira says quietly. Guards carry in a young woman on a stretcher. She's pale as death. Dark veins spreading from the mark on her wrist, a corrupted bond slowly poisoning her from within. Her eyes are glassy, unfocused. She is weak, Isolde says dismissively. Some vessels cannot bear. She's dying because you chained her. Kira kneels beside the stretcher. Let me help her. If I fail, you can execute me where I stand. The council members exchange glances. Isolde's smile is cold. Kira places her hands on Mira's corrupted mark. Ice flows from her palms, crystalline and precise. She can feel the twisted magic, the chains wrapped around Mira's soul. Carefully, deliberately, she freezes the corrupted bond until it's brittle as glass. Then she shatters it. The mark explodes into black smoke. Mira gasps, color flooding back into her face. Her eyes clear. Focus. See for the first time in months. She sits up, staring at her unmarked wrist in wonder. I can think again, she whispers. I can feel again. Her voice breaks. I'm free. The hall erupts. People surge forward, calling out names, begging for the same mercy. Kira looks up at the council, at Isolde's furious face. We invoke ancient law, Daemon declares, his voice cutting through the chaos. A freely bonded pair may challenge council authority when corruption is proven. Most of the council members stand immediately, hands raised in surrender. They've seen enough. They know when they've lost, but Isolde remains seated, rage burning in her eyes. And beside her, Lord Aldrich Winter, looking smaller than Kira remembers. She walks to him slowly, stops before his chair. You sold me as a child. You killed my mother by your silence. You traded my life for land and status. Her voice is ice itself. I am not yours anymore. I never was. She raises her hand. Frost spirals around her father, not touching him, just framing him in Winter's judgment. Lord Aldrich Winter, you are stripped of lands, titles, and name. You are cast out from every territory. If you are found within our borders again. She leans close. Pray you aren't. Aldrich opens his mouth, closes it, stands and walks from the hall, shoulders hunched. A broken man, Isolde Ravencroft is taken in chains. The hall slowly empties, and Kira stands in the center of the great hall, surrounded by the freed, the hopeful, the changed. Winter has finally come to Argentum throne. 6 weeks pass in a blur of transformation. New council members elected from every pack, every territory represented. 47 corrupted bonds broken in public ceremonies, with Kira presiding over each one. They start calling her the Chainbreaker, a title she wears with quiet pride. The Shadowbound strike at midnight on the 43rd day. A blade meant for Kira's heart. Her power reacts instinctively, ice erupting in deadly spikes that impale the assassin before he can reach her. She stares at his frozen body, trembling, until Daemon pulls her close. You're allowed to defend yourself, he murmurs into her hair. 2 days later, Isolde Ravencroft is captured attempting to flee. She's imprisoned for crimes against the realm, her influence finally broken. On a quiet evening, Daemon finds Kira on the balcony overlooking the city. He carries something wrapped in silver cloth. When he opens it, a crown gleams in the moonlight, delicate ice crystals and silver thorns woven together. "I'm offering you the position of queen," he says, "not as my subordinate, as my equal. To rule beside me." Kira's throat tightens. "I never wanted a throne. I just wanted to be free. Then help me make a throne that means freedom." His golden eyes hold hers. "Help me build something worth fighting for." The next day, they witness the first public free rite. A young couple from Frostvale ironically choosing each other before witnesses. Speaking vows in trembling voices, binding themselves with love instead of chains. Kira watches, tears slipping down her cheeks. "This started as survival," she says quietly. "Then strategy. Then partnership. Now," he whispers. She turns to face him fully. "Now, I would choose you every day for the rest of my life. Not because of the bond. Because of you." His hand cups her face, thumb brushing away her tears. "I've been waiting 6 weeks to hear you say that. Why didn't you tell me first?" "Because you needed to know it was real." His forehead rests against hers. "Not obligation. Not gratitude. Not the magic binding us. Just you and me. Choosing this." She takes his hand, intertwining their fingers so their marks touch frost and flame, perfectly balanced. "Then let's build something worth choosing." 3 months later, winter arrives in Argentum throne like a promise kept. The new council convenes in the Great Hall, elected representatives from every pack, every territory, voices that once went unheard now shaping the future of the realm. Laws are rewritten in careful script. All bonding rights require explicit consent, witnessed and documented. No exceptions, no loopholes. Kira stands in the council chamber watching the final vote pass unanimously. Her chest tightens with something she's only recently learned to name: hope. They come in whispers at first. Then, in daylight, hidden Frostborn survivors emerging from decades of fear, women who thought they were the last of their kind. Kira meets them in the sanctuary caves, these strangers who share her ice-touched blood, and for the first time in her life, she doesn't feel alone in her power. "We thought the bloodline died with our grandmothers," one woman says, frost crystals forming in her silver hair. "We didn't know anyone else survived." "You're not alone anymore," Kira promises. "None of us are." The shadowbound remnants scatter like smoke when light finally reaches them. Some flee to distant territories. Others surrender, broken by the weight of their own corruption. Garrick Stone leads the hunt personally, finding justice for the women who never lived to see it. Envoys arrive from neighboring kingdoms, curious, cautious, desperate to understand how Argentum throne transformed from tyranny to something that looks almost like freedom. Kira sits in strategy meetings that stretch past midnight, teaching others how to recognize corrupted bonds, how to break chains carefully so the victims survive. Daily life settles into rhythms that feel impossibly normal. Morning training in the courtyard, Kira's ice meeting Daemon's blade in patterns that are half combat, half dance. Strategy sessions where they argue over trade routes and territorial disputes like any rulers might. Quiet evenings in their chambers, Fenrir sprawled across the hearth, his massive head resting on silver paws while they read reports and steal glances at each other over parchment. Genuine laughter echoes through halls that once knew only fear. Daemon smiles more easily now, the hard edges of his isolation worn smooth by trust. Kira no longer flinches when people approach her, no longer hides her hands when frost blooms across her skin. The formal offer comes on a morning sharp with cold. Daemon kneels before her in their private chambers, holding the crown of ice and silver thorns. "Not because you're mine. Because you're yours. And because this realm needs you." She stares at the crown, at this symbol of everything she once ran from. "I don't want power for its own sake. I know." His golden eyes are steady. "That's why you should have it. To protect others like you. To make sure no girl ever has to run into those mountains again." She takes the crown with trembling hands. "Then I accept." The coronation draws crowds from every corner of the realm. Not queen by marriage, the announcements proclaim. Queen by choice. Kira walks down the aisle in ice blue silk and silver armor, crown gleaming in her silver-white hair, and when she reaches the throne, Daemon stands beside it, rather than upon it. "We rule together," he says to the assembled witnesses. "As equals, as partners, as it was always meant to be." That evening, the first snow of winter begins to fall. Kira stands on the balcony overlooking the city, watching frost patterns spread across rooftops and cobblestones in delicate spirals. Daemon joins her, wrapping his cloak around them both, and together they watch their kingdom transform beneath winter's gentle touch. She turns her hand in his, studying their intertwined bond marks glowing faintly in the twilight. Frost and flame. Perfectly balanced, she thinks of the terrified girl who fled into those mountains, certain she was a curse. She thinks of the woman who stopped running long enough to save a dying wolf. "They tried to make me a monster," she says softly. Daemon presses a kiss to her temple, his breath warm against her skin. "No. You made yourself a queen. I just had the good sense to recognize it." She leans into him, watching snow fall across Argentum throne, no longer running, no longer hiding, finally, impossibly, home. Below them, in the great hall, the freed gather for celebration. Music drifts up through the cold air, laughter, life, the sound of chains breaking, over and over, until only freedom remains. Winter has come to the realm at last. Not as death, but as rebirth. Not as curse, but as blessing. And in the heart of it all, two people who chose each other stand together, watching frost patterns bloom like promises across their kingdom, building something worth choosing. Every single day, the story continues. If you loved Kira and Daemon's journey from hunted fugitive to revolutionary queen, from forced alliance to chosen love, then you won't want to miss what happens next. Hidden Frostborn bloodlines emerging from the shadows, neighboring kingdoms threatening war, and a mysterious power stirring in the frozen north that even Kira's ice magic cannot touch. Follow for the next chapter of the Winter Throne saga, where every choice matters, every bond is earned, and freedom is worth fighting for. Like, subscribe, and join the revolution. Winter is just beginning.